So, have you heard of the trad wife? Traditional wife. It is a thing on social media. People are talking about it. I'm pretty certain if you are in the conservative, any conservative type circles at all, you have heard of the trad wife movement. So, the big question is, am I a trad wife? What actually is the definition of that? So, I would like to discuss this. I have a reason why I'm touching on it because being a trad wife, one of the things that they do is mill their grains, bake bread. So, am I a trad wife? We're going to talk about that on the Grains and Grit Extra Gritty podcast. This is the podcast extension of the Grains and Grit YouTube channel. And this is the podcast that is unsifted, unfiltered, unedited. You get me, all my thoughts. We got the coffee going. Yeah, I don't even really take notes. It's just me. I like to sit down and talk with you like you are here in my kitchen and we are friends and we get to have a little chat. The only thing that would make this better is if I could actually hear you respond and we have a true back and forth conversation. So, we're going to talk about this. Am I a trad wife? So, I'm going to peel back the curtain a bit and kind of show you a bit more of what my life is, what my certain beliefs are. Because, first and foremost, I am a Christian, a Bible believing Christian. I say that on my channel. I teach you about real whole grains from a biblical perspective. The Bible is definitely my foundation, 100%. But sometimes, I might get a little preachy. Okay. And then also, it may appear that I am some boss babe because I have this YouTube business or whatever. So I'm just going to address it all. Okay. We're going to talk about this. Um, so if you're not familiar with the trad wife movement, what this is actually, can we even define? Does anyone actually know truly what this is? Okay. So I'm first going to give you the definition that you typically would see on social media. And so the typical like trad wife thing that is trending on social media is usually very soft spoken ladies, and they're usually talking in a voice like this and how they prepared a meal for their family that they love very much. And I'm just going to share with you a recipe. You know, you may have heard that. It may have come across, this very soft spoken, which I'm totally a fan of. Like soft spoken women, wonderful. But they're usually like very feminine looking, the flowy dresses, and they're very common. Like they will be in a homesteading environment or like a baking from scratch, cooking from scratch type thing. They talk about how they do not, they're married. They are traditional wives in that they don't have a job, maybe. And some people even tout, I think, like no education, and by education, I mean, I think they mean no college degree. Okay. No higher papers on their walls that were very expensive, and married. Their husband's the breadwinner. They have more of a traditional gender roles type marriage. Okay. And the internet has lost its mind when it comes to this. As anything with women issues does. But one of the things is, they are typically baking and cooking from scratch. And so it kind of comes into my realm a little bit. And people are really, and lately it's kind of hit the fan again because there have been recent videos out that's like, where are the trad wives in their 40s and 50s? And because all that you see is like these younger women, like then, the 20-year-olds that are talking about this and portraying this idyllic type traditional marriage life. Well, I am a woman in my 40s. I just turned 40, but it counts. Okay. And I am in I would say, a traditional marriage. But yeah, I'm kind of the one where I want to say I don't fit in anyone's boxes. And so that's why I want to address this because am I a trad wife? So let me peel back the curtain because there are some things that I'm very passionate about that may not come up on my channel. And one thing that I am extremely passionate about are traditional biblical roles between the men and the women. Okay. The Bible is very clear on this. You can get mad at me all you want. You can't get mad at me. You can get mad at God. Okay. Made it very clear. God, plain English, wrote it in there, wives submit to your husband in all things, that we should reverence him. The First Peter 3 talks about the woman being the weaker vessel. Again, you can't get mad at me, get mad at God. We are submit to our husbands just as Christ submits to the church. Marriage is a picture of Christ submitting to the Father, of the church submitting to Christ. Submission is built in God's design. And, I don't know if you know the song. Oh, who was it? You're going to serve somebody. Was that Willie Nelson? It was actually a lot of people. It had a lot of people in it. I think like Leanne Rhymes. Oh wow, this throwback to like the 90s. But there's a song out there, you're gonna serve someone. And it's true, like we're all gonna serve something, someone. So it is God, it is money, it is greed, it is food, it is, we're all serving something. And, people will make the argument of like women, you think it's okay to go out and submit to a boss because there is a hierarchy there, but yet not to your husband. You forget. Anyway, I'm not going to get to that. But I am actually very passionate about this subject. I hate feminism with every fiber in my being because I grew up now, even though I grew up, as a Christian in the church, I still was brainwashed and corrupted a bit by feminism. And I think it definitely caused more harm in my life than it did good. Okay. So again, this is not something that really comes out on my channel because it's irrelevant, but I am going to address it now. So I do want to make it very clear that I am very passionate and for traditional roles as God lays out in scripture. Now, from there's a lot of arguing about it. Okay. So my husband is the head of this house. Deal with it. He is king of this castle. Deal with it. Okay. Does he go around and beat me? No. He's a good, godly husband who takes his role very seriously as being the head of this family. Now, since he was shot in March of 2025 and paralyzed from the waist down, things have definitely changed. And I am now living a life that feminists like to use as an example of why a woman needs to have a degree and be educated, blah, 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 blah. But I'm here to tell you that I am not a boss babe. Okay. And God has been taking care of us. And I do not need a degree for what I'm doing in my life. My husband doesn't need his degrees either. Okay. We don't use our degrees. My husband and I have multiple degrees between the both of us. My husband has a master's degree. He has 2 bachelor's degree. I just have a lowly bachelor's degree. But we are, we have our degrees. We don't use them. Okay. This is a new world. How the world acts nowadays, college is not the same as it used to be. Okay. The college degree is not the same as it used to be. And I think more people are becoming aware of that. So we actually make a living. We don't even use our degrees. Education is not about the papers that you have on your wall. You can educate yourself without going and buying a degree or like spending all this money for a degree. You can still educate yourself. And we should still be educating ourselves and still be doing that throughout our lives. That's a whole other ballgame. So no, in ways, I am definitely not the boss babe type. And I never want people to be looking at me that way. Even before my husband was shot, I did not handle a lot of the business side of things of YouTube. Okay. My husband still had his clients. He still built fences and decks. I would definitely say that he was still the breadwinner of the family. He is definitely the one responsible for the money coming in for the family to feed us, for bills being paid. And he still takes that responsibility seriously, even though he cannot work anymore. But he still has a role to play. He is definitely my manager, and he's the one who steps in. Is like, no, this is not good. You're not focusing on your home enough. So my focus is still my home. I still am passionate about what I do, and I'm so thankful for YouTube and this because since my husband got shot, this is paying the bills. But God is ultimately paying the bills and providing for our family. And so for us, while we may not look like, we do and we don't. I don't look like your typical trad wife. I definitely am not in the flowy dresses all the time. I love flowy dresses. I really do. If they have pockets. But I love the pretty flowy dresses. I love being barefoot in my kitchen, and I bake from scratch and I meal from home, and I'm very passionate about it and that we should be doing it. But ultimately, I do believe a woman should be focused on her family. And that's going to look different for each family because you are married to a different husband than I am married to. You have different kids than I do. So ultimately, God has called us women to be focused on our homes. We are to be keepers of the home, but that's going to look different for people. And that's what the big argument is. And for some reason, women, we'd like to be in the extremes. It's like the extremes of a woman should not know anything and fully rely on a man for everything. And that's it. Like, nothing. It's almost like I'm not going to go there. So like, nothing, your man does everything and you are clueless and you just flit around your life with not a care in the world. And, if you have no problems in your life, mad kudos to you because the world is going to slap you upside the head with a 2x4 with problems. Okay. That's just reality. You're going to have hard times. You're going to have problems. And then you have like the other extreme side where like a woman should never be relying on a man and she just be completely independent and just ignore what her husband says. And you should, your husband is an idiot, blah, blah, blah. Like I definitely am not on that side and I'm not on the farthest side either. Okay. Truth is usually in the middle. And so ultimately, my goal is my family. My family is what I'm called to. My family is my ministry. And if I fail with my children, if I fail with submitting to my husband, snapping at him, being a horrible wife to him, then I have failed in God's eyes. It doesn't matter how many quote lives I have changed here on YouTube because I teach about real whole grains. It doesn't matter. My family is what matters. And so, yes, in that way, I am a traditional wife. I am a trad wife. I am traditional in that my focus ultimately, at the end of the day, is my home and my family. And that's traditional as it should be. I mean, should we really be like, no, actually, no, you shouldn't care about your kids? Like, really? So my focus is here. Okay. And then I trust the Lord with everything else. And so far, trusting the Lord has definitely been far better than anything else I could plan. So the Lord has been guiding our steps. Okay. I am not here with this YouTube channel, being a boss, because I know one of the things that people talk about with these trad wives is like they're not traditional trad wives. They're making money being an influencer. True. That's very true. And so like they portray this trad wife lifestyle, but yet they are making money. And there's nothing wrong with a woman making money. If you look at Proverbs 31, the Proverbs 31 wife, she considered a field and she bought it with the fruit of her hand. She planted a vineyard and she's making fine linen and selling it to the merchants. That was a woman who was working hard. And so it's not a matter of does a woman make money or not. That's not the focus. And why we have focused on just the money thing is ridiculous. That's not the focus. The focus of a woman should be on her home. And there's seasons to our lives, y'all. There are times where you are having those babies and you have a lot of littles and you don't have extra help. That's a hard season. Okay. That is not the time. Okay, to be maybe starting a new business or, working outside the home or anything like that. That's a hard time and your children need you so much. And then there's a time where you're an empty nester and then you're not living with kids. You've raised your own kids, but now focus on your grandchildren. There are other ways that you can still focus on your home and your people. There are just different seasons to life. Older women, that's why you're to teach the younger women because you've been there. Okay. Give us your wisdom, please. We need it. And so there are seasons to your life. But yes, I am a traditional wife because I submit to my husband. He is the boss because that's how God designed it to be. And he's far better at it than I am. I am not the type of person like when people make those jokes like, oh, well, we always know who's right in your marriage. I'm like, yeah, it's my husband. It's not me. Okay, it is not me. I rarely will win an argument. My husband is one of those extremely put together, has his stuff together, pretty much right about everything. Is it frustrating? Yep. But I'm married to an incredible guy. Like I'm so thankful to be married to a godly man. Again, he takes his role very seriously, even now that he is paralyzed. Okay. He can't do the work that he did. He is still head of this house. He is still making the decisions. He's still the one that is responsible for the decisions made. And so, yeah, I am now doing more with YouTube. Again, we are really having to make adjustments to our lives, like radical, crazy adjustments because our lives are radically and crazy different than other people. Okay. How many people do you know who is paraplegic? Who is a full-time wheelchair user? Okay. Like, do you know anyone? Yeah, think about that. Okay. It's a radically different lifestyle when you are dealing with someone who is disabled. And that could be a disabled child, husband, wife, whatever it is. If you've lived this life, you know how crazy different it is. And so we are having to really think outside the box with things. And so I just say all this. I know this has been such a crazy rant, and I'm not meaning to do this to start an argument about feminism or whatever. I'm just wanting to make it very clear that I never want to be portrayed as like some boss babe. That is not me. I do not think it is godly for a woman to be portrayed like that. The Bible talks about how God sees a meek and a quiet spirit as something of great price. And I wish I was a more meek and quiet woman. I am not. That doesn't make it right. And I'm trying to work on it where, but I'm also just a very passionate person. So I'm trying to work on shutting my mouth and controlling my face, in certain situations, trying not to just blurt out things because it pops into my head. My husband has really been working on me for the past 16 years of marriage. And that's just it's my personality. So that doesn't, just because something is your personality does not mean that it is godly and where you should be. But that is the sanctification process of our Christian life, is becoming more. So just know I am not a woman preacher. Okay. I am not a boss babe. And I'm just a mom who's trying to teach people about the beauty of real whole grains and God's design with food and how to feed your people well. Okay. That's really what I'm here for, because I know milling grains has changed our lives and has been an amazing thing for us. And I think it's such an amazing thing for other people. And and I love teaching people about it. I love educating people about it. I love educating people about the truth with this. And being a woman, yes, this is in my realm because this is what I do. But I'm bringing you along to, hey, well, here's what I do in my house, and here's why I do it, and this is the importance of it. And that's what I do. I teach. I'm not a preacher. I teach. Anytime I bring scripture into it, believe me, I've had those conversations with my husband, and it is his message too. If he was to get up here and say this, he would be saying the same exact thing. So I'm always bringing everything by him to making sure that I'm not crazy or wrong what I'm doing, because I do need to bring scripture into things. But just know, like, I have my husband's stamp of approval with anything that I say. And he also tells me stop, to try not to be so preachy, because again, I'm passionate. I'm passionate. So sometimes it can come off as preachy, but I want to stay in my realm. And this is something that I would like to, why sometimes I bring my husband onto the YouTube channel, because sometimes I do want to go into deeper theological things, but that is not my place. God gave that to men, to be preachers, to be teachers of the word. And yes, I can share with you what Christ has done in my life. That is the gospel. That is my testimony. I am to share with you the testimony. I am to share with you, things like this where I'm talking about bread. Well, because I do it. My husband is not the one in the kitchen baking bread. I am. So yeah, I'm just teaching you how to make bread, why it's important. But as far as like really diving deep into scripture theological discussions, like that's something that is my husband's realm. He's knowledgeable in it and better at it than I am. And it is the authority that God has given him to preach that. And so, yeah, this may have been way more than you were expecting, but I just want to be honest, and because of all this trad wife stuff online, I am very passionate about this issue, and I don't want to give people the wrong impression. I don't want to be the example to a little girl who says, oh, well, I could have a career like her and still homeschool my kids and take care of my family. This isn't a career for me. Right now, this is where God has me. And my husband is very, very much alongside of me with this. There's a lot that goes behind the scenes that you don't even know about that I don't touch. And he does. So he's the one who basically took it where I'm the creative and he's the business side, is what it is. Because there are so many things that wouldn't get done if it was just me, because I don't have time for it. Okay. And it's not a priority for me. But this is how the Lord is choosing to provide. It is a ministry for both of us as well. And I just happen to be the face of it. But it doesn't mean that I'm a boss babe or a hardcore feminist, or think that, I don't know. I don't know what people think. And people might not have thought this about me at all. And so I'm just talking for no reason, but it's passionate thing I'm passionate about. I don't want to talk to y'all about. But again, ladies, your people is who God gave you to take care of. And it is so important that we do not neglect our homes, whatever your home may look like. Take care of the people that God has given us. We are to be the hospitable arm. We are the ones who should be reaching out to, people in the church, inviting people over, come over for a meal, let me feed you, and then good fellowship that happens. That is how fellowship happens. in our Christian walk is I think so much of that is done over the dinner table. And that's a whole other podcast right there. But we have so much power. God has given us so many amazing gifts as women to be used in the church. Let's stop arguing, trying to take over the men's jobs. Okay. You have 1,001 jobs that God has given us that we could do and that we should be doing and that are amazing and good things. Stop trying to get in the pulpit like a man. Okay. You don't need to get into it. Stop trying to be a boss babe. You don't have to be. Okay. Your family needs you. Your children need you. And there's so many more important things. You're not going to get to the end of your life and be like, wow, I really wish I'd made more money. No, that's not it at all. So take care of your people, be keepers of your home. I want to encourage y'all to, and again, stop comparing everyone, stop comparing your life to someone on social media. You do not see the whole story. Y'all, you haven't even seen my kids. Okay. You don't even know how many I have if you don't know me in real life. You don't know my whole story. You don't know everything that goes behind the scenes. So don't look at my life and be like, well, she has it together. I don't, y'all. Okay. And there's a lot of things that are outsourced. Okay. I don't do it all. There's so many things that you don't see. So let's stop comparing and freaking out about what we see on social media of a small, tiny little snippet of someone's life, because it's just not true. But I wanted to peel back the curtain a little bit on my life. Just kind of, you see, I'm just, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, and God has blessed me so much with my family. And I just pray every day. I'm sorry, I'm just getting emotional because I pray every day that I don't ruin my kids, and that all of my kids grow up loving the Lord and that we will all be together in heaven one day. And that is my prayer. And if I get through this life where every single one of my children love the Lord and follow him no matter what, that's a life well lived. Something went right. So hopefully this was an encouragement to y'all again, and let me know your thoughts below in the comments. And as always, have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.